All right, Unit 4.2, Reproductive Isolation Mechanisms. So there are two ways this happens. The first one is prezygotic, and then you have postzygotic. So prezygotic just means before a zygote has been formed. And there are five types of prezygotic mechanisms. The first one is ecological. Ecological, ecological. So this is when two animals are just too far apart for mating to happen. If you live in Africa and I'm in America, we're physically never gonna meet in our lifetime. So not, mating is not gonna happen. Of course. The second one is temporal. Temporal? This just means when two organisms have different mating seasons. You want to mate in spring, but I prefer it in winter. So we're not going to want to be mating at the same time. Thus, mating is not going to happen. The third one, mechanical. Mechanical. This is pretty straightforward. This is just when the shape doesn't fit. So, example, an extreme example, you can't mate a rat with let's say, an elephant. Just physically impossible to fit. Four, behavioral. An example is different mating rituals. So, say some birds in the Amazon rainforest, and the male birds of a particular species could have a very cool mating dance. You know, they 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 dance for the female, right? And the female recognizes this and decides if she wants to mate with the male depending on his performance. So this is a very cool mating ritual to the females. But say if a foreign bird goes to the Amazon rainforest and the bird does the same dance to the foreign bird is not going to recognize that dance and appreciate the male's effort. So this is when two organisms have different behaviors regarding mating rituals and stuff like that. And the fifth one is gametic isolation. Gametic isolation. So this is when everything else works out. Mating happens. Finally, mating happens. But um, the the gametes that are produced by the two organisms fail to fuse together. Like a sperm fails to fuse with the egg because the difference between them is too big. So these are the five pre-zygotic mechanisms. For post-zygotic ones, there are only two. The first one is inviability. Now remember, for these ones, a zygote has been formed. That means the gametes have successfully fused together to form the zygote. But inviability is when an organism um, fails to live up to adult age and be able to produce gametes. So in another word, they just basically die too young. They're too unhealthy. They don't live up to adult age. They die before they could ever reproduce. Very sad. The second one is sterility. Sterility. So this is when an animal is healthy, functional, grows to adult age, but what's really sad is the animal, well, or the organism cannot produce gametes. An example is the descendant of a horse and a donkey. So when you have a male horse mating with a female donkey, their baby is gonna be a mule. Now, interestingly, a donkey has 62 chromosomes, whereas a horse has 64 chromosomes. But a male has 63 chromosomes. 63 is an odd number. And this is really bad for the production of gametes because for gamete production to happen, there needs to be an even number of chromosomes because, homologous chromosomes, right? You need pairs of chromosomes together. So Mu is actually missing a pair of chromosomes. Thus, gamete production is not going to happen for Mu. So in this case, a Mu is healthy, strong. Humans use them to, carry stuff and for farming and agriculture and stuff. But they cannot produce fertile offspring, and you can only ever get a mule by mating a donkey with a horse, and you can never get a mule by just mating two mules together. So that's unit 4.2. Oh my goodness, I finally did it. This is like the seventh take.